بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We're continuing with our studies on the book التعبير القرآني by Dr. Fadil Saleh Samirai, and we were on page 46, so we're just going to continue uh, with this paragraph. I think we explained, I'm not so sure, I don't remember, it's been a while. Last week we had a different class. I don't remember if we explained this part or we did not. Um, did we explain, guys? Or should I just explain? Probably you guys also don't remember. So I think to just be on the safe side, I'm just gonna um explain. All right. What is happening today? SubhanAllah. Okay. Something is tripping my system a bit, but it's gonna be stable. All right. So let's continue. So remember, just to recap, the idea is that he mentioned something else. He mentioned that sometimes the Quran or sometimes Allah would move from one seerah to another seerah depending on the context. And here we were discussing, he was comparing three ayat, and how emphasis changed in each one of those ayat. And the final one that we're going to discuss today is where the form changed, the pattern form, it changed. It went from ajib to ujab, yani to just emphasize what is happening, in the context surrounding that ayah. So he says, وَأَمَّا فِي سُورَةِ صَادٍ فقد كان العجب فقد كان العجب عند المشركين أكبر وأكبر. So he says, as for the ayah in Surah Sad, then the amazement was greater and greater. The amazement among the mushrikeen was greater and greater. إذ كيف يمكن أن يؤمنوا بوحدانية الإله ونفي الشرك وهم قوم عريقون فيه. Because how could they believe? How is it possible that they would believe in the oneness of God and the denial of shirk and the negation of shirk, you know? وهم قوم عريقون فيه, and while they are a people that are deeply rooted in it, while they are a people that are immersed in it, right? So basically they are the originators of this thing. So how could they believe in something like that? It is far beyond them. بل إن الإنسان جاء أول ما جاء ليردعهم عن الشرك ويردهم إلى التوحيد. And he says rather, in fact, actually we'll talk a little bit about this bal, because we mentioned something about bal, but we'll talk a little bit more about this bal. So in fact, he says Islam, the first time that it came, or the first thing that came of Islam, was to divert them from shirk, was to prevent them from shirk and to return them to tawheed. وحسبك أن كلمة الإسلام الأولى هي لا إله إلا الله. And it should suffice you, should be enough, it should be sufficient for you that the kalimatul Islam, uh, the word of Islam, like the main word of Islam is what? Is La ilaha illallah. The first word of Islam is there is no God but Allah. وقد استسهلوا أن يحملوا السيف ويعلنوا الحرب الطويلة على أن يقروا بهذه الكلمة. And they found it easy to carry swords and to declare war, a long war, على أن يقروا بهذه الكلمة, just so that they don't have to say this word. Like they found it easy to declare a long war just so that they don't have to say this, or other than saying this word. فالقتل أيسر عندهم من النطق بكلمة التوحيد, because killing, can you imagine this? Because killing is easier for them than to say these words. Subhanallah, than to say the words of Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. ولذا كان العجب عندهم أكبر وأكبر. And because of that, the amazement for them was bigger and bigger. Like they would much rather kill than to say the kalima. فجاء بإن واللام وعدل من عجيب إلى عجاب. And that is why Allah mentioned inna, emphasis, واللام for emphasis, وعدل من عجيب إلى عجاب, and he changed from عجيب to عجاب, which is مبالغة. وذلك أن فعال أبلغ من فعيل, and that is because فعال, the pattern فعال, is more eloquent than فعيل, right? It's more than فعيل عند العرب, among the Arabs. فطوال, and he's going to explain why, because طوال أبلغ من طويل. طوال is more eloquent than طويل, right? فإذا قلت, if you said هو رجل طويل, he is a tall man. If you just said رجل طويل, tall man, right? طويل is a صفة, tall. فهو الطول يكون مثله. Then height is considered to be like him. Like if you look at the idea of height, if you just considered height, what would be tall? His likeness would be tall, right? So that's what he's saying. So if you just said he's a tall man, then you are using him as a standard for tallness. You are using him as a standard for height. فإذا زاد عن المعتاد, but if he was more than what you're used to, he was more than that height, then what would you say? قلت هو طوال. Now, of course, in English, we don't have this kind of idea of مبالغة. We either just say extremely tall. I mean, there are certain words you can use, but they're not really, like, you can say lanky or leggy or, I don't know, some other words that we don't really use. So we normally just say, oh, he's super tall, or he's extremely tall, or he's just a giraffe. Like you would probably just use now balagha terms, isti'ara, borrowing. You would just now say he's a giraffe. You're not meaning that he's eating shrubs and he lives in the in the savannah or in the forest, whatever. That's not what you mean. You just mean that he's as tall as a giraffe, right? But you're calling him giraffe instead, or you call him a tree. That's like the limited nature of English. But in Arabic, you have so many ways of expressing things. So when you just somebody is like tall, described as tall, you would say tawil. But now, maybe let's say what you consider tall is 6 foot. 6 foot is tall. According to me, 6 foot is tall, right? So I would describe as people who are around 6 feet. I would say these people are tall, right? But then you have a 7 foot guy. How would you describe a 7 foot guy in English? Now, this is where you just have to like use so many words. But in Arabic, you just change the form from tawil to tuwal. Now, it's no longer just tall. Now he's super tall. Now he's gigantuous or I don't know, something else, right? He's a giant. He is a tree. He is a giraffe. So you see, the Arabic has a lot more ways of saying the same thing. Or you can use the masdar and say he is height itself. Now, of course, if you do that, you're using mubalagha, but you're using the masdar. Now, that's a different thing in Arabic. Again, I'm just saying all this why? To show you the versatility of the Arabic language. Like it has so much more to offer. English is limited because now you are limited in the way you're expressing yourself. Arabic is so much fluid and so much versatile in the way it expresses itself. Right? So that's what he says. And he goes on to say, وَنَحْوُهُ, and the example of that is Kareem, generous person, وَكُرَام. Kuram, now this is philanthropist, is an extremely generous person. It's not just a generous person, you know. Kuram, extremely generous. وشجيع وشجاع. So شجيع is just your normal courageous type of dude, right? He's just courageous. But shuja, now that's your brave. I don't know. See, again, you see, English is just limited. Like, how do I translate shuja without translating the same way as shajia? Shajia, courageous. Shuja, courageous. Like, and we end of story. But in Arabic, it's different. Different. One is a permanent trait. The other one is an extreme form of that permanent trait. All right. Hope that's clear. Questions? Are we good? Okay. So let's do the i'rab. If anybody wants to participate, let me know. I see Arch is not here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it myself, or unless anybody else wants to do it, you are welcome to do it. Okay. So we've done أما before. أما أداة شرط. We've done this before. As for this, then this, right? So that idea of a conditional sentence, if this, then that, or when this, or whenever this happens, or however this happens, all these are different ways in which you can create a conditional statement. Amma is one of those ways in which you can create a conditional statement. As for this, then this. So أما أداة شرط. أما في صورة. So في حرف جار، صورتي اسم مجرور. And then of course صاد, we're going to look at this because this is a formal name. We cannot say صادون صادين صادن. We cannot do that. This is the name of a chapter in the Quran. This is the name of a surah in the Quran. So it's always going to be صاد. We're not going to change anything. So it's going to be أما في سورة صاد. Right? So that is going to be protected by the quotes. It's a مضاف إليه, but it's protected by the quotes. Right? فا. So you see now فا. فا جواب فا جواب. Okay, so we've said that this is the condition, and then you have the jawab. فا الراتبة, فا of jawab. قد, we've done قد quite a bit of time. قد حرف تحقيق if it comes with the ماضي. حرف تقليل if it comes with the مضارع. Of course here it comes with كان. كان is a فعل ماضي ناقص, right? So it's a past kind of tense that is ناقص. So now we're going to say قد is حرف تحقيق, حرف of assurance. It gives you a surety, right? فقد كان ماذا؟ كان العجب. So فقد كان العجب. So العجب is the اسم كان, right? عند المشركين. So عند, what kind of a word is that? If you look at your Bayna studies, this will fall under special mudafs, what we actually call ظروف, ظرف. So it could be ظرف زمان, it could be ظرف مكان. عند, when you just hear عند, it tells you something about a place. With, yeah? So this عند is a ظرف, okay? And of course, it forms part of a متعلق with something because it's a special مضاف. So عند المشركين, عند is مضاف, it's a ظرف, and of course here it comes as a مضاف. المشركين would be the مضاف إليه. Hey, what's happening? مضاف إليه of عند, and together they'll be متعلق to كان. عند المشركين. كان العجب عند المشركين. لا عفوا, forgive me. It's not متعلق to كان, it's متعلق to عجب. العجب عند المشركين. Okay, so it's going back to العجب. The عجب among the مشركين, right? The عجب among the مشركين. So this شبه الجملة here could actually be a صفة to عجب, either متعلق or a صفة. Okay? Just like we did before, we said رجل من المدينة, a man from the city or a man from the village. It is sort of describing. So this عجب is being described by what description? عند المشركين, among the mushrikeen or with the mushrikeen. Okay? How was it? كان ماذا? Like what about this عجب? أكبر وأكبر. So أكبر is the khabar of كان. Okay, and of course خبر كان always is منسوب. كان أكبر, it was bigger. And of course أكبر is in the form of اسم تفضيل, and that's why it is أكبر in that form أفعل, because it's اسم تفضيل. And واو حرف عطف, وأكبر اسم معطوف to the first أكبر. And of course here he's just saying bigger and bigger, just like we say it in English. Yeah, bigger and bigger. It's not enough that I just say it's bigger, but I want to create like that emphasis of some sort. So I do repetition. So I say أكبر وأكبر, bigger and bigger. Okay, if we've done if before, and we've said that if is, it could be a number of things. It could be ظرفية, which means it like إذا, so it comes as a مضاف and it shows when something happens. But we've also said that if could be a حرف. right? When it comes as a harf, then it just comes with the meaning of because or since. Since is a much better one. Since this is the case. Da, 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 da. Okay. Question. Can jar majroor be sifatu a proper? Yeah. Yeah, jar majroor can be, or is it a hal in this case? Wait, let me see. I'm just gonna consult my notes there because I'm not so sure I as well. It's been a while since I did that topic. Where's my menu? I don't even know what's happening with my, okay. Where's the thingy? What is happening with it? Okay. حول. Oh, there it is. I was like, what is happening? It's taking so long to respond. Sifa. Where did we learn about Sifa? Compound Sifa. Is it here? Okay, single word, compound اسم موصول صفة جار مجرور جار مجرور. Oh, it has to be common. Okay, sorry. So this, in this case, it'll be حال, not a صفة. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Been a while since I did this topic. Yeah. نكرة بعدها الجملة, of course, the golden rule. So here it will be حال. But let's just confirm in that case because I don't want to say something that also is not true. Where did we do حال? We did حال here. اسم فاعل اسم مفعول جملة جملة فعلية جملة اسمية شبه جملة proper followed by jar مجرور. Yes, there we go. Confirm that. Okay, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so in this case it's going to be the hal of the ujub. How is it among the mushrikun in that sense? Or you can just look at it as متعلق. It could just be متعلق بالعجب. How to differentiate between خبر of كان and اسم تفضيل. They're the same thing. In this case, the form is اسم تفضيل, but the grammatical labeling is the خبر of كان. So two different things you need to dissociate. When we say اسم, okay. So I know in Baina we didn't actually learn how to differentiate this terminology. So we just learn, okay, this is اسم تفضيل, this is خبر كان, and we just sort of like put everything together. But grammatically, there's something called the form that it takes. The form that it takes could be a fi'l, could be a fa'il, could be something else, right? And sometimes that form is also the grammatical label, right? Sometimes it's the same thing. But sometimes the form that it takes is not the grammatical label. Like in this case, the form, the container that it takes is isim tafdil. It's akbar. But what role is it playing in the sentence? So this is how you differentiate between the two. Whenever you're talking about whenever you're talking about khabar, fi'l, or grammar, then you ask yourself, what role is it playing, right? So whenever you, guys, give me just a second. I need to attend to. Okay. Okay, I'm back. What was I saying? Yes. So there's a grammatical labeling of something, and then there's the form that it takes. Sometimes the same thing. So for example, I have a fi'l. This fi'l is fi'l madi. Fi'l madi is the form that it takes, right? It's the kind of like صيغة that it is. But it also tells me what role it plays in the sentence. It's a fi'l. It's a verb. That's the role that it is playing in the sentence. So you see, sometimes it's the same thing. But sometimes it's not the same thing. Like for example, if I say اسم تفضيل, okay, what role is that playing in the sentence? It's not playing any role. It's not the dua, it's not the verb, it's not how the verb is being done, it's not a tamyiz, it's nothing. So it's just an isim tafdil, which tells me the form that it takes. Okay, so there are those two things we always have to separate. Is it the form? And if it is the form, yes, but is it playing any role in the sentence? Or what role is it playing in the sentence? Okay, so whenever we're doing i'rab, we are asking ourselves what role. Yeah, what role is it playing in the sentence? I hope that's clear. How to visualize? Okay, yeah, it's hal, yes. By nahu, it's khabar. By sarf, nani, kidogo. Guys, give me a second. Today I'm getting a lot of interruptions and all right. So sorry about that. Yeah, let's go back. I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying. Uh, yeah, by now he's covered by sarf. It's ism tafdil. Okay, yes, that's it. Okay, alhamdulillah. Right. So that's what. Any other questions so far? Is that okay? Is that clear? Everything is good? Okay. So he says, إذ كيف يمكن أن يؤمنوا? If we discussed about,
Salam, I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, it was not unmuting. So, Amma fi suratin, from this Amma is just we call as a Jumla Shartiya, and then Jawab Shart is from Faqad till wa Akbar and Akbar.
Yes. Yeah.
Sister, ma'am, Jumla Shartiya could be anything, right? Jumla Ismiya or Jumla Fi'liya, right?
Yes, but amma always comes with either the an ism, or you could have, like in this case, jumla shart darf, what is it called? Jar majrur.
Okay.
Like you have in the Quran amma adun or amma thamudun. So you have like an ism that comes after amma. So for example, like if I can say amma Ahmad fa da 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 da. As for Ahmad, this and this and this. So there's always, it's never followed by a jumla fi'aliyah. You cannot say amma yadhabu. What does that even mean? As for he goes. No, as for this particular person, as for this particular thing, as for this particular concept, or for it has to be followed by an ism in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I'll do that one.
Great. So we were talking about, and we mentioned that is could be either ismi, an ism, or it could be a harf. Okay, when it's an ism, it's mostly a dharf, like when. It tells you when something happens, just like ida. Normally, how do we translate ida? We say when this and this happen. So you could have that when it's an ism. But it can also come as a harf. When it comes as a harf, then one of the meanings is that it comes with the meaning of a ta'lil, which we said the closest translation you can do is since or because, since, right? So now in this case, of course, this is a harf. It's not telling you when something is possible or not possible. It's telling you since this is the case, or it's just sort of explaining why this is the case, right? So we'll say إذا هي إذا للتعليل حرف تعليل. That's what we're going to say. كيف كيف is اسم استفهام, right? So كيف, and whenever we're doing the إعراب of اسم استفهام, we've always said that this isms that are istifham, they always come at the beginning of the sentence. So we never put them at the end of a sentence. They always come at the beginning of the sentence. But the sentence after it is what will tell us the i'rab of it, right? So it will tell us the i'rab of it. For example, here, yumkinu. Yumkinu has to come with a fa'il, right? It has to come with a fa'il. And you can look at it as, يعني, it doesn't take a مفعول به. يمكن is لازم. It doesn't take a مفعول به. In that sense, كيف cannot be, sorry, what am I saying? Cannot be the, sorry, forgive me. كيف answers the question حال. It answers the question how. So in any case, this is going to be a حال. I was going through, I guess those so many distractions have like sort of taken me a little bit back, but anyway, so كيف is حال, is going to be a حال of this sentence that comes after it. And of course, يمكن, like I've said, يمكن, just like we did يستحيل. So استحالة is to be impossible. يمكن is to be possible. These are opposites. So استحالة, أمكن, opposite. How do I say it's impossible? مستحيل. How do I say it's possible? ممكن. Okay? So is كيف يمكن. Now, like I said, يمكن needs a فاعل. What is being possible? I need to know what that is. Right? So I look at this sentence that comes after it. أن يؤمنوا. أن. So أن مصدرية. يؤمنوا is حرف نسب. And together, what am I saying? يؤمنوا is منسوب. It's مضارع مجزوم منسوب today. Subhanallah. I don't know if I need coffee or something or whatever. But yeah. So أن يؤمنوا, together they're going to form مصدر مؤول. And this مصدر مؤول is going to be the فاعل of يمكن. Alright? What is going to be possible? They are believing in the وحدانية الإله, in the oneness of God. So this would be the فاعل. This is what is being possible. So أن يؤمنوا مصدر مؤول بوحدانية. So آمن يؤمن always comes with حرف جر با, and this is متعدي بحرف. Whenever you see آمن بي, آمنت بالله, يؤمن بالله, here in this case يؤمن بوحدانية الإله. So this با is this فعل يؤمن is متعدي بحرف. So that means that this بوحدانية الإله would be في محل نسب مفعول به of يؤمن. في محل نسب. Right? So this you can look at it as it goes back to يؤمن, or you can look at it as متعلق بيؤمن. Okay? وحدانية الإله. So وحدانية is مضاف and الإلهي is مضاف إليه. Now what kind of a word is وحدانية? It is what we call مصدر صناعي. It's a مصدر, it's an idea. Right? The oneness. When you just hear the word oneness, it's an idea. Right? Or the unity. Right? So this is an idea. But I know whenever we see this ya, we think, oh yeah, and nisba, it means it's a sifa. No, not every ya followed by a ta marbuta is going to be ya and nisba. Very, very important. Not all of them. Most of them, yes. But some of them are going to be masdar sina'i. Right? Like unity, wahdaniyya, wataniyya. These are words that end like this, but they're not really describing anything. They're just describing an idea. Okay. بوحدانية الإله ونفي الشرك. So why am I saying نفي? Okay. I have to ask myself, this واو is حرف عطف, yes. نفي, what kind of a word is that? نفى, ينفي, نفي. نفي is a masdar of نفى. So this is a masdar. So this masdar is connecting to what? Then I see that before it, there was a masdar mu'awwal. So there was already a masdar that was mentioned before. So this masdar is connecting back to the previous masdar. And we said that this masdar mu'awwal is the fa'il fi mahalli rafa. So that means that's why nafyu ash-shirki, because that masdar is connecting back to the other masdar. What is not possible? It's not possible for them to believe in the oneness of God. It's also not possible for them to deny shirk. to negate shirk, to reject shirk. They don't want to do that, right? So it's not possible for them. So how is it possible? That's the question that Dr. Fadil is asking in this case. Wow, again, so this wow is harf atif. This first one, okay? Oof. This first one is harf atif. This wahum, anytime you see wow followed by a jumla ismiya, especially a pronoun, that's a dead giveaway that this is going to be wow haliya. So this question, وهم عارقون فيه, this whole sentence is going to be jumla haliya في محل نسب. So hum, again, you look at it, is going to be mubtada. قوم, simple, easy peasy, خبر. عريقون, nakira, and then followed by a sifa. Well, so you have, this is موصوف صفة. قوم عريقون فيه. فيه is a jar majroor going back to عريقون, embedded in it, like immersed in it. Right, so that's how you look at that. Okay, let's see here, the chat is popping. I thought nafi is ma'tuf to yu'minu. If it was, it would be nafiya, but it's not. It's not yumkinu an yu'minu or yumkinu an. So what kind of word follows an? Let's think about that. What kind of word follows an? When you think about that, then you realize that an is always followed by mudara'. It makes the mudara' mansoob. And if it was an yu'minu wa yunfiya, then we would say yunfiya. But here it's not yunfiya, or yunfu, actually, because it's the mudari' and it's hum version. So yunfuna becomes yunfu, right? So an yu'minu wa yunfu. Then we would say, okay, yeah, they're connected. But here it's nafyu. It's a masdar. It's an ism. It's not a fi'l. So that's why it's not connected back to yu'minu. It's connected back to the entire masdar. It goes back to the masdar mu'awwal. Okay. As majroor connected to be in notes. You have it as majroor connected to be. بوحدانية, you mean? And يؤمن بوحدانية الإله وب. No, they're not believing in the denial of shirk. Yeah, they're not believing in they're not believing. They're not. So the idea is, how is it possible for them to believe in unity of God, right? So that's one. And how is it possible for them to deny shirk? وَهُمْ قَوْمٌ عَرِقُونَ فِيهِ. And they're the people that basically are immersed in it. They're the people who initiated this thing in Arabia. All the idols that are among them, they're the center of idol worship. How can they reject worship, shirk? You see? So how is that possible? How is it possible for them to deny shirk? It's not that we're asking, how is it possible that they believe in unity of worship, and how is it possible that they believe in denial of shirk, which does not make sense. How do you believe in denial of shirk? No, it's saying, how is it possible that they can deny shirk? How is it possible they can believe in tawheed, and how is it possible that they can deny shirk? Right? So those are the two things that are impossible for the mushrikun of Makkah.
So in that case, you know, is the masdar mu'awwal, and it's what do you call it? With harf. It comes with a harf. So then أن يؤمن بواحد دانية بإله نفي is again the masdar. It is معطوف على أن يؤمن. So it should, that from أن يؤمن till الشرك should be the file of يمكن, right?
By in a general sense, yes. But because we have harf ataf, we can say that, okay, that's where the sentence ends, and then you have harf ataf, and then nafyu is ma'tuf to the sentence before it, or rather the fa'il fi mahalli rafa, the masdar mu'awwal. So in i'rab terms, in proper i'rab terms, you see wow, harf ataf, and it's connecting the nafyu with the masdar mu'awwal. But in a general sense, in a very like in the way we look at things in Baina, because we normally just put things in the same bucket, you can look at it as this whole thing is just one bucket, because it's all connected to the file in one sense.
Because I don't see the break in the chain, right?
So the break is caused by the wow. Wow حرف عطف. Normally in grammatical terms, wow is a new thing happening. It's connecting something to something. Like for example, if I said I ate a banana and an orange, right? And is connecting two parts. It's acting as a connector. Otherwise, I would just have an orange and a banana separately. Like these are two separate things. But then I'm bringing and I'm connecting them together. So in I'rab terms, these are actually two separate things, and wow is a thing that is actually bringing them together. But of course, in Bayina terms, we just look at wow harfa, there's no break. Oh, it's just going back to that. Okay. And we just put everything in the same bucket. So yeah, you can look at it that way, but I would advise, now that we are, developing and maturing in our understanding of Arabic, I would advise we go away slowly from this kind of understanding and just to be able now to advance in our thinking as well. But if it helps you to understand it better, then that's fine.
Exactly.
Did you get it?
Yes, sister.
Okay. Right. Is this dual of the verb يمكن. So أن يؤمنوا بوحدانية الإله, the whole مصدر مؤول would be the فاعل of يمكن. So this whole thing is the فاعل of يمكن في محل رفع. And then you have نفي الشركي. نفي الشركي. Now this again, إضافة, is connecting this part 1, to part 2. So that's kind of how you can look at it. مصدر مؤول and negation are فاعل of the verb, something like that. Yes. So here's the thing, the masdar muawwal is the actual fa'il. Nafyu shirk is added to that, is connected to that with a harf atuf wow. Are we good? Any questions regarding this? Okay, great. What about this part, وهم قوم عريقون فيه? I think this is clear. جملة حالية، واو حال، هم مبتدأ، قوم خبر، عريقون صفة قوم، and فيه جار مجرور متعلق تعريقون. All right. Then we have بل. بل also حرف عطف. But before we've talked about bal before, and we said, okay, bal comes in a sentence and it sort of like moves away from the previous sentence and goes on to like, it sort of negates whatever came before and it affirms what comes after. So that's what we've discussed bal as. Sometimes there's a different kind of bal. So there are two kinds of bal. Sometimes bal comes just as a new sentence. Yeah. بل comes as بل حرف ابتداء. Just like إذ ابتدائية, you have بل ابتدائية. Sometimes that happens. So what do we mean by بل ابتدائية? Whenever you have بل ابتدائية is where like you're moving from one topic to another topic. Like I don't even want to discuss this topic anymore. I want to move to a different topic or a different objective or a different goal. So this is what we call باء الابتدائية. Like for example in this case, but إن الإسلام جاء أول ما جاء. So now I'm not talking again about, like I'm not saying that whatever came before is wrong and now this is the reality of it. No, I'm actually moving from that discussion. Now I'm introducing a different discussion. So it's called al-idrab al-intiqali, where you move topics, you move objectives. You're not moving, you're not negating what came before and you're not affirming what comes after. You're just moving from that discussion to another discussion, right? So that's why I would say in fact, or rather, or as a matter of fact, or actually, kind of like meanings, right? So actually, I think actually fits perfectly here. So you can say actually, إن الإسلام جاء أول ما جاء. Actually, إن الإسلام. Is that clear, by the way, about bal?
Salam,
So
you
just
said bal
moving.
ibtidaiya. That comes as a something and that comes as a new sentence. What was the other one, Sister?
So the other one is bal lil idrab. So that one negates.
Okay, that one. Yeah,
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 that
that's
one
not.
you are negating what came before and you're saying, no, this is the reality. But with this bal al-ibtidaiya lil-intiqal, when you're just moving from one thing to another, intiqal means movement, like you move from one place to another. So when you're moving from one goal or one objective to the other, this is called bal al-intiqali, or al-intiqaliya in this case, because it's a harf. Okay,
Alhamdulillah, exactly.
fantastic. بل إن الإسلام إن حرف مشبه بالفعل, what we call حرف نصب in بين terms. So it makes an اسم منصوب. And of course, together in بين terminology, we're going to look at this as our مبتدأ. Why are you not writing? مبتدأ. بل إن الإسلام. Okay, and that means whatever comes after it is going to be our خبر, right? So, and we look at the خبر, what do we have? We have a جملة فعلية. جاء أول ما جاء. This is a very interesting thing happening here. I'm going to explain. So جاء فعل ماضي, فاعله هو. ضمير مستتر هو. We'll figure that part out. Yeah, جاء is, we are familiar with جاء. But what is أول ما جاء? أول ما جاء. What is this part? Now أول, when I just say first, or the first time, I'm talking about a particular instance, right? I'm talking about a particular time something happens. Whenever we're talking about time, this is what we call ظرف. Just like we said, عند is also a ظرف, like a place. So عند would be ظرف مكان. أول ما جاء would be ظرف زمان, because it's talking about a particular instance in time. It's talking about a particular moment in time. أول ما جاء, the first time that it came. The first time that it came, right? So this whole composite, we will call it a ظرف في محل نسب. This whole composite. And the thing is, أول, so أول would be your ظرف, right? And ظروف always comes as مضاف. ما is going to be your مضاف إليه في محل جر. Okay? So, and this ما, what kind of ما is it? It could either be ما موصولة, it could be ما مصدرية. In other words, أول شيء جاء. If it's ما موصولة, the first thing that came. The first thing that it came. If it's موصولة, أول شيء جاء. أو أول الذي جاء. Because remember, ما موصولة, you can replace it with الذي. So أول الذي جاء, the first thing that came. Or it could be ما مصدرية, and therefore now we're talking about the idea. أول مجيء, the first coming. The first coming. Now we're talking about an idea. The first coming of Islam. Either it means the first coming of Islam, or it means the first thing that came of Islam. All right? So those are the two ways of which you can look at أول ما جاء. And of course, like I said, أول ما جاء is a ظرف. You can look at the whole thing as a ظرف if it makes it easier for you. But of course, the correct way is to say أول is the ظرف, ما is اسم موصول or اسم مصدرية مضاف إليه of أول, and of course جاء is صلة الموصول لا محل له من الإعراب if you're looking at it as اسم موصول. Okay. Now understand its explanation. Take time to differentiate between these two. Yeah. Is ما هي موصولة مصدرية. Both. It can be either or. Yes. It can be either or. It can be أول ما جاء, أول الذي جاء, the first thing that came, or أول مجيء, the first coming of Islam. So both apply, can work here. Right? So it depends. Is he talking about a thing, or is he talking about the idea of Islam coming? But of course, here I find ما موصولة more appropriate, because he's going to talk about a thing, the first thing that came, or the thing that is the most important, right? أول ما جاء, or you can look at it as ما مصدرية as well, the first coming of Islam. What did Islam talk about? Like, what was the whole point of Islam? Are we good? Okay. So we've said that this is a ظرف. أول ما جاء is a ظرف. So it's connected. And whenever we have ظروف, it's متعلق. So إن الإنسان, so this ظرف is متعلق to جاء, the first جاء. So جاء أول ما جاء. And أول ما جاء would be the ظرف to جاء. Now, ليردعهم. ليردعهم because of لام. لام here, لام التعليل. And this لام of so that. لام لكي. Remember that? So لام enters into a فعل مضارع, makes it منسوب. That's why it is ليردعهم. Right? So why أول ما جاء, the first thing that came, for what reason? ليردعهم, to prevent them, to stop them, to take them away from shirk. عن شركي جار مجرور متعلق to يردعهم. ويردهم إلى التوحيد. So the first thing that came of Islam to prevent them from shirk and to return them, رد يرد, to return something. So to return them to Tawheed. Yeah? So that's what he's saying. Are we clear? So he's saying the purpose of Islam coming, if you're looking at Ma Masdariya, the purpose of Islam coming is to يردعهم, to prevent them from shirk and to return them to Tawheed. Or the first thing that came of Islam is what? Is to prevent them from shirk and to return them to Tawheed. Are we good? Okay. Then he says, wow. So wow, حرف عطف, connecting this new sentence that comes now to whatever was mentioned before. Okay, so that's what is happening. Wow, حرف عطف is connecting those two. Hasbuk. I'm just gonna go to Hasbuk because we talked about this, but I'm sure it's a new concept. So obviously it's gonna need a little bit of you need to hear it several times before it can sit in your mind. So we discussed Hasbuk last time. We said there are two kinds of Hasbuk. Or a Hasb, not Hasbuk, but Hasb. Hasb always comes as a mudaf, or sometimes it doesn't come as a mudaf ilayhi. We were discussing the one that comes as a mudaf. When it comes as a mudaf to a damir, when it comes as a mudaf to a pronoun, this is point number one. Okay, so for example, Hasbuk, Hasbi Allah, Hasbuna, Hasbi, whatever. Right? Yeah. So whatever pronoun that it is attached. Okay, so it could be a kaf, could be a ya, could be whatever it is. If it's a dhamir, we're gonna treat this as a mubtada. We will treat that whole composite as a mubtada. That's what we'll do. Now the other thing is if it comes hasb plus ma. Instead of dhamir, we have ma. So for example, hasbama, hasbama. And always, whenever it comes with a ma, always is going to be hasba. Not like in this case where it could be hasbuk because it's the mubtada. So it's going to be hasbu. But in this second instance, it's going to be hasba. Why? Because it's a naib maf'ul mutlaq. Right? It's a naib maf'ul mutlaq. And we know maf'ul mutlaq always is mansub. And the naib substitutes the maf'ul mutlaq and it takes its role and its harakat as well. And the difference why we mentioned these two writings is because hasba ma in this case is going to be masdariya, ma masdariya, and when it's written separately, it's going to be ma mawsula. So that was just a slight revision on hasbuk. So now that we've said that it could either be mudaf to a pronoun or mudaf to a ma, and that would determine how we do the i'rab. When we look here, we have pronoun. So that means that this one is a mubtada. Unlike before, where we would say حسب السياق or حسب ما يقتضيه السياق, right? In that case, حسب ما, that would be نائب عن المفعول المطلق. But in this case, because it's attached to a pronoun, we're going to say حسبك is مبتدا. And of course, whatever comes after it, the whole thing is going to be خبر. Okay? And then when we enter into the خبر, what do we have? We have أن كلمة الإسلام الأولى هي da 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 da. I think we're going to end here. We're going to stop at this point because I see we're almost about to get to time. So we'll just finish this portion. So حسبك, we said that's a مبتدا, and we've said that whatever comes after it is going to be a خبر. أن we know أن حرف نسب أو حرف مشبه بالفعل. So أن and كلمة together it's going to be a مبتدا. كلمة light, no, this is a مضاف. الإسلامي مضاف إليه. Alright? أن كلمة الإسلام. What is الأولى? Alright? الأولى is a صفة to something. It looks like a صفة to something. So what is it صفة? It's a صفة to this إضافة. It's a صفة to the composite إضافة. يعني the كلمة of توحيد, the first كلمة of توحيد, or of Islam, sorry. So that's a صفة to the whole إضافة. And then here, so you can see this is kind of all related. So we see the mubtada, it goes on up to here. Now there's a break. So that means that this here is actually our khabar. Okay? Yes, sifatu kalima. Sifa to the whole idafa, not just sifatu kalima, it's a sifa to the whole idafa. كلمة الإسلام الأولى. And therefore الأولى would be في محل نصب, because it's a صفة كلمة الإسلام. And then we have here, and we have لا إله إلا الله in quotes. So what would be the i'rab of this whole composite in quotes? This would either be عطف بيان or the badal of here. It's as if we're saying أن كلمة الإسلام الأولى لا إله إلا الله. I can easily just omit here and just go straight to لا إله إلا الله. So in that sense, it would be a badal. Or if I decide to do this as a عطف بيان, then I would leave the here alone. It's like clarifying more information to what that statement is. Okay. All right. Any questions? Any clarifications? How are we feeling? Are we good? Let's see here. Translate, please. Okay. From the beginning or from where? Where would you like me to translate from? Or just this hasbuk, from hasbuk, or from? How hasbi is ma'tuf too. Okay. So hasbuk, mubtada khabar, new sentence, right? What came before it? إن الإسلام جاء أول ما جاء ليردعهم عن الشرك ويردهم إلى التوحيد. Separate sentence. Another جملة اسمية. مبتدأ خبر. So this مبتدأ خبر, this جملة اسمية is being connected to this جملة اسمية. Remember, whenever we're talking about حروف عاطفة, whenever we're in the world of حرف عطف, the standard way of doing things is you would have an اسم connected to an اسم, a فعل connected, a جملة فعلية connected to a جملة فعلية, a فعل connected to a فعل, that way. That's how it kind of works. And that's why it was easy for me to see that this nephew, being a masdar, it has to connect to an اسم, because an اسم connects back to an اسم. Yeah, that's the normal way of doing this. That's the standard way. That's the correct, I don't want to say correct, but that's the standard way of doing things, right? Of course, you have exceptions. And whenever you have exceptions, especially in the Quran, there's a meaning to it. It's not just random. But in speech, maybe somebody can say something like this in speech and it won't really have any extra meaning. Allah Ta'ala alam. But the normal way of, the expected, the standard way of doing it would be a fa'al to a fa'al, an ism to a fa'al. Just like this sentence we've said is a jumla ismiya, and this is a jumla ismiya. So you have those two sentences being connected together. Okay. Okay, so from hasbuk. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry, you were continuing. I'm so sorry. Continue.
No, I was just going to translate from hasbuk. But if you have a question, we can take it first.
Oh, no, I just missed it out. I couldn't get it. If hasba comes attached with ma, then it is ma is a masul
Yeah, the ma
or
can
masdariya.
either be isim mawsul or it could be ma masdariya, depending on how it is written. So let's go back to that.
Yeah, but if it is written, yeah, I got confused actually. If it is written with ma, then it is.
So if it is written with the ma separately, if the ma is not attached, oh, it's not
Okay,
opening.
that is.
Yeah, it won't open to that page, but okay, here we are. So if hasba ma, the ma is attached to hasba, written as attached to it, then that is ma masdariya. When it is attached, is ma masdariya. When it is separate, hasba ma, then this is mawsula. Clear? So that's just how to identify the ma. But how would you do the
Yeah.
i'rab of hasba in this case? Hasba would be naib al-maf'ul al-mutlaq. In both cases. It doesn't matter if it's ma masdariya or ma mawsula. As long as it's attached to a ma, it's going to be naib maf'ul mutlaq. That's what's happening there. Okay. So yeah, let's try and translate this. Yeah, you guys, yeah, sufficient for you is the first, yeah. So, and sufficient for you is that the first kalima of al-Islam is La ilaha illallah, or it should be enough for you that the first kalima of al-Islam is La ilaha illallah, right? So when I say hasbuk, it suffices, or it should suffice you that this is the case. So that normally we just say sufficient for you is. That's normally the way you translate. Yeah. Yeah. But the idea is like the fact that the kalima of al-Islam, the first kalima is La ilaha illallah, is enough evidence for you. That's what he's trying to say. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I think then we're good. I really thought we would be able to finish this page, but I guess there were so many concepts that were just lurking in the grammar that we needed to get over. But that's fine. As long as we are understanding the process or what is happening behind these statements, that's great. So I'm gonna stop there, inshallah, and I will see you guys next week. And again, so sorry for the interruptions. I know today lots of interruptions. But yeah, alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. آمين يا رب العالمين وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته I will see you guys next week إن شاء الله